Yeah, welcome back. If you just joined us, this is Daybreak coming to you from Trust TV, and we're in our final segment where we're looking at stories that made it to the front pages of the newspapers this morning. Now, starting off with Daily Trust newspaper. Boldly, we have there on Daily Trust, INEC seeks legal backing for IReV, proposes use of computer-generated slips for voters accreditation. On the top left, National Assembly to pass 2025 budget in January, his tinubu submits proposal on Tuesday. Senate bars Wike from demolishing structures in the FCT, and Kano State Governor reshuffles cabinet, drops SSG, COS, and 5 commissioners. We also have on the bottom, governors back state police as INEC defers decision to January. Well, we saw that in our story and our packages this morning. Our children pass through hell to access education, says Abuja community. And on insecurity, Army to review operational strategies on Monday. ACF raises expert committee on tax reform bill. Those are the stories we have on the front page of Daily Trust newspaper. So if you are interested, do well to grab yourself a copy and keep yourself informed. Now on Guardian, moving over to Guardian, the story we have there boldly says more men losing prostate cancer fight to hefty cost and late detection. We have there at least 49 cases of prostate cancer recorded daily in Nigeria. Now, the infograph has a lot to say on that. Well, do want to grab yourself a copy, keep yourself informed, and know how to protect yourself as a man from prostate cancer. There are dietary requirements and all of that goes alongside with it. Now, Seplat finalizes $800 million acquisition of Mobile Unlimited from ExxonMobil. Still on Guardian, local airlines roll out higher airfares for festive peak period. Wow. Federal government issues 6 sukuk bonds worth 1.1 trillion naira to finance 124 road projects. And then the federal government issues ultimatum developers on Lagos shoreline. Still there, FCT delays as governors OK state police to take the final decision in January, and Senate subpoenaed Julius Berger boss over project. 2027 INEC plans shift to digital accreditation in new electoral reform. Those are the stories we have on the front pages of the Daily Trust newspaper, of the Guardian newspaper rather. Now, to join us in the studio where we're going to be reviewing some of the headlines on today's pages, we have Nuruddin Abdullah, editor, 21st Century Chronicle, as he joins us this morning. It's good to have you.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
Thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah.
Let's start off with Daily Trust. Ahead of 2027, we've seen a lot of things come into play, and now INEC is seeking legal backing for IReV. We saw Nigerians are skeptical about IReV and everything concerning the election and beavers and all of that. Would you say INEC wanting to start preparation from now? There was also a story where they backtrack and reviewed their performance, opened meetings and spoke about things that need to be updated on. Would you say INEC is probably getting prepared, geared ahead for 2027? Is that a good move, or what else needs to be done better?
Yeah, I think particularly the tradition is this: we only get to do these amendments and what have you on the eve of the election, particularly in reviewing the Electoral Act. You remember what happened last time on the eve of the 2019 elections. And you remember at that time there was this contentious issue of even transmission of the election. I think with what we saw during the presidential and governorship elections, and even the off-season election, what we saw in Edo, for instance, Ondo, and what have you, IReV will go a long way in doing away with all these encumbrances that affect the electoral process, particularly if we made it a law. And you remember at the same time, if you go back, let's say to 2007, 2011 particularly, and what happened thereafter, there is a lot of achievement. We had a time where you had Barack Obama, Michael Jackson, Nelson Mandela on our voters register. But when the JIGA INEC came on board, we started using biometrics, and we sanitized the voter register from more than 100 million at that time to just 50 or thereabouts, because you removed all manner of. So when you do IReV, Ghana did an election seamlessly. India, the largest democracy in the world, they are doing elections. It's electronic. I think let's go electronic. It will save the human factor where you just remember what happened during the local government elections. It's people thumbprinting and all manner of. When you automate it, it reduces all manner of, and particularly this IReV issue. If we are able to get this as a part of a law, election can only be valid if it is done and transmitted live on IReV. You are a contestant, I'm a contestant. INEC officials are watching, observers are watching it. So there is virtually very little you will do to truncate the system.
But do you believe if this is done, it will boost, because Nigerians already have a great level of doubts for INEC, would it improve the level of trust they have in the electoral process?
Sure, particularly the managers. Let INEC be more transparent. Let INEC be more public-centric. We saw what happened when Professor Jega cleans the voter register. At least now we no longer have Mandela, Barack Obama, Trump, and whatever on our voter register because it has been cleaned. And it brought down the number of people on the voter register, particularly with the use of the biometrics. When you make it a law, then the transmission must go concurrently. We saw it in India. We are spending money, at least we are doing 15-point-something trillion dollar project, right? We can do it. If we enhance our recruitment process of our leaders, what happens? It will enhance the trust, particularly among the electorate.
All right. Now let's move away from that. Now, there was the INEC, and they spoke about state policing. They said, 36 states have okayed it, left to the FCT, and by January a final decision would be taken. What's your take on the state policing? Because governors are saying that the security architecture in the states is a bit too cumbersome for the federal body to handle it generally. But there are also downsides. There are also skepticism towards state policing and how the governors would handle it. What's your thoughts on it, and seeing that it's quite close to achievement?
I think, particularly with the evolving security situation, that fear has dwindled so much.
Okay.
Particularly, yes, even the federal police, raw governors are doing what they want to do with it. You remember, you understand. So, and if you look at it, apart from salary, maybe and some other few allowances, the state governments are funding the police. Look at the papers. About 2 weeks ago, Governor of Kano donated almost 50 patrol vehicles to the police. The police are not under him. So Lagos has a police trust fund. They build police stations. Maybe, I don't know, the only thing maybe they don't buy the rifles. They buy communication gadgets. They buy vehicles, I want to feel. So the states are fundamentally funding the police. But maybe another thing we'll do, maybe we can see some, particularly when we are amending the Constitution, some clauses, for instance. The state police cannot just be fully independent operationally. Maybe there are certain, we look from what obtains, for instance, in the US. You have at the county level, you have the sheriff, you have the state police, and you have the FBI, for instance. There are certain crimes that you make them federal. So that, these governors, they have so much money and they have so much power. If you say anything online, you will not go back to your state. Yes. They are even using the federal police to harass and intimidate. What to talk if you get it. But you put some setback safety valves so that you at least have some element of control. Or you make certain even offenses federal. This all can be done, particularly by January when we are doing the Constitution amendment. Particularly, we take how other countries doing it. If we do that, all this banditry, kidnapping, the state, Zamfarama will tell, the governor will tell you, say, okay, I am giving all I do. I foil their vehicles, I give them patrol vehicles, but there are certain, I'm not in control. They have to seek order from Abuja and what have you. So when you give them some semblance of control, and the ability to carry certain caliber of arms, maybe it will reduce this issue of banditry, kidnapping for us, Boko Haram terrorism, ethnic criminal crisis, and
like you said, maybe, just maybe.
Yeah,
to
sure.
whom much
Yeah,
is
sure.
given, much is
It's
expected.
Nigeria.
It's Nigeria. It's one thing to see it. Oh yeah, it's been done, and then you see the work being
And the way all the governors, irrespective of party,
are agreeing on it. Okay. Before we go now, let's look at the cost of airlines. Festive period is peaking. I checked cost of airline Abuja to Lagos, and I was seeing 200 and something. I was confused. Like, what's happening? The aviation sector is becoming something else. Aside the cost of airlines, the attitude of the airline operators is something else. They moved my flights for 3 days after, almost 4 days after. What if I had an important appointment? They cancel flight without notifications. They move flights at the airport. There's a lot going on in that sector. What do you think should be done, and how can they beam a light in there and regulate? Would I say regulate? The cost of airlines is something else. Attitude of operators are something else put together. What is happening?
I think it's a two-way situation. They cancel flight at will because there are no consequences. Mr. Kayamo, to be fair to him, has been talking, but we want him to see action. Yes, he has been talking. I will do this, I will do this, I will do this, I will do that. But we haven't, those words have not been materialized into action yet. But that's a good one. But the most important thing is this. NCAA, FAN, as the regulators, must assert themselves. Let the airlines know that they are serious. And how do you do that? You have the appropriate regulatory frameworks, and you apply them when the airlines. In terms of costing, it's a Nigerian thing. How much is this Marco Polo bus from Abuja to Lagos, for instance? I think it should be more than 30K.
Oh no, it's like 70, 50, 70 at this point.
You understand? Something that was 5,000 out of you. So, and the airlines, the operating environment. One of the airlines I don't want to mention, and we know the airlines that are very the most troubled one when it comes to this. I don't want to mention names.
We all know.
Izali, we all know,
yes.
On Izali. And they were explaining that for a 1 hour flight, Izali, you need about 14 million. So when they break it, all this, if you go to Lagos, I remember I saw this, I flew down, I remember. So they gave me the breakdown. About 6 taxis.
All right.
So, we have to do all these things
that
exactly so that but it's inflation everywhere, actually.
It's affecting everywhere. Exactly. Well, we hope that the solution will be found, because some people are not able to visit their loved ones because they are scared of going by road, and the cost of airline is alarming. But we look forward to the day where it's all going to be fixed, and probably one day Nigeria will be better again. We always say God bless Nigeria. Well, thank you so much for joining us. It's been a very, very insightful and interesting conversation with you this morning. Thank you for throwing more light on the stories that made it to the front pages of our newspaper.
My pleasure.
It's good to have you. Well, if you're just joining us, we're talking to Nuruddin Abdallah, editor 21st Century Chronicle, as he joined us to review the stories that made it to the front pages of the newspaper. I would say I found it very informative. Well, with that, we've come to the end of the show this morning. Do not forget that we have business, sports, and news at the top of the hour. And before I go, it's Friday. While you're having fun, do also keep yourself informed. Confirm news and, articles from credible news sources. Keep yourself informed and abreast with government policies. So when speaking, you speak from an informed perspective and you understand what is happening in your country. Having said that, see you again. Same time, same station, Bye for now. I am Lilian Ogazi.